Since the fall of man, a war has raged between good and evil. Over the centuries, this war has distorted the truth. Now the truth is perceived as lies, and lies acknowledged as truth. To this day, the battle continues as we investigate and debate the truth behind the history and mystery of the universe. We are Paratruth Radio.
What's up, folks? Welcome to a brand new episode of Paratruth Radio on the one and only Paratruth Radio Network. My name is Eric.
And I'm Justin.
And we are coming at you literally live from Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Representing his place, I suppose. We're in the studio today.
Yes, we are. And if you're watching on YouTube, later when we get the video uploaded for you, you will see us in all our glory.
Mm-hmm. You might want to wear your sunglasses.
It's going to be a little bright.
With this smile, yes. Oh, it's been a crazy week.
Most definitely.
It's been a busy week.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see how rough we really look.
Mm-hmm. You don't know this because you can't see it, but we're both wearing pajama bottoms right now. That's a behind-the-scenes look, by the way. You don't normally get to see that. But we do have an interesting episode. We decided, it took us a while to decide on what we were going to talk about today. We wanted to do another cryptid. I wouldn't say it's been a while since we've talked about a cryptid. We always talk about a cryptid in some way.
Right.
But we're trying to decide if we should do something based on more of a werewolf type thing, a specific story, or if we should find something that's just new to us, new to everybody else. I know we looked into Japanese lore quite a bit, Russian lore as well. But when it came down to it, we were both kind of interested in one particular cryptid that is probably one of the most popular of cryptids, especially in historical books and mythological books especially as well. Yeah. And that cryptid is known as the Kraken, or a.k.a. the giant squid.
Depending on which myth you go with, yes.
Yeah. I'm getting confused. I keep looking at the computer thinking that's where the camera is, but the camera's right there. Hi, guys.
Hi. So, yeah, we had decided on the Kraken. And just so everybody knows, this is the first episode I'm doing as a married man.
Which means it's probably going to be the worst episode that we ever have. Hey, watch that. You're a married man. You can't do that anymore.
Only to my cousin again. So the Kraken actually goes back quite a ways. As far back as I know is all the way back to Greek and Roman lore. The Kraken was actually controlled by what was the god of the sea?
Poseidon?
Yeah, Poseidon. I'm going to keep you around for something.
Yeah.
For Poseidon to order around and destroy villages and what have you that were on the coast. But it does also go back to Norwegian and Greenland. I don't know what you would say for Greenland other than Greenland lore. Because it does go back to when pirates were around, even though they're still around today, but they're a little bit different than the swashbuckling type. And it just had a place in the lore for a long enough time that, even back when this Kraken lore was going on, they didn't know that there was such a thing as a giant squid. They just saw a giant creature and didn't know it was an actual animal. Mm-hmm. But the original lore placed it more like a crab or lobster type creature compared to the giant squid. So I don't know where the lore changed, unless it maybe changed when the pirates and Norwegians were taking over that particular lore.
Well, there's a good possibility that when it was originally spotted, they were only seeing it at the surface of the ocean. And so the only thing they could think of, maybe they saw the legs or whatever, oh, maybe it's a giant crab. But then as they got more out into the ocean and actually began to encounter this creature, the lore may have only been shaped by actual accounts, which is why we now have this giant squid as the Kraken.
Yeah.
But then again, the whole thing could be fake. They might not even exist. I know to this day they're still doing research in the depths of the ocean, very deep in the ocean, to try to find the giant squid. And there's been numerous cases in which people claim they've seen them, scientists in particular, and archaeologists who have been traveling the ocean looking for it. And the video, unfortunately, the video is never always, just like everything in the paranormal. Like, the video is never any good when they spot this thing. And they try to chalk it up and give you measurements, like precise measurements as to what it should be like, but there's really nothing to measure it to, so for all we know, they're just blowing smoke. So, but,
now,
or in this case, ink.
Yeah, they have caught giant squids, but not to the size that the Kraken is supposed to be. The Kraken is supposed to be much larger than the typical giant squid. But the ones that they've caught are much smaller than what you would think with the name giant squid.
So for those of you who know what a great white shark is and then know what the megalodon is, consider the Kraken the megalodon of the squid family. Yeah, megalodon's a really big great white shark, for those of you who don't know.
And for those of you that don't know, Eric is glad to educate you.
Especially since I'm not very educated. But, the one thing that I came across that got us into this track of doing the Kraken today was a specific photo that showed up on Facebook a few weeks back. And, we're going to have that photo up for you probably in a moment here. But if you're watching on YouTube, of course, obviously you can't see it through the radio. If you can, congratulations.
Then you should be on our show because you're the most paranormal person we've ever come across.
But it's an interesting photo. It was taken by satellite, one of the satellites we have up in the sky, way up high. And it was taken in Antarctica, I believe, of all places, where they believe they had spotted what looks to be a giant squid, in particular the Kraken, based on its size. Again, I don't know what they're comparing the size to. It's in the ocean, and let's face it, it's Antarctica. What can you compare it to? Not much.
Yeah.
Other than Antarctica.
And if it's the size of Antarctica, we're screwed.
But we have that photo up. We could take a look at it. Let us know what you think it is. And if you came across it over the last couple of weeks, or this photo, and any
or the Kraken,
either one. Or you read any articles or saw any videos, feel free to fill us in on that stuff. Let us know what you found and what you think and believe and so on and so forth. Again, I think I'm skeptical, as always. Always skeptical. It's rare that I'm not skeptical. I'm skeptical of me being skeptical. I'm skeptical that he even really needs glasses.
I'm skeptical that you're skeptical that I'm skeptical of my spectacles.
That was a good one.
So yeah, if we're missing something in the lore as well, let us know, because we are live today, so you guys are more than welcome to chat us up in our chat room. Speaking of the devil, Talk Supernatural, they're listening.
What's up, guys?
But can you see us? Can you see us, Talk Supernatural? That's the question. So if you guys know anything about the Kraken lore compared to just the giant squid sightings and this picture that Eric is talking about, let us know, because we're kind of foggy on the Kraken lore. It's been a while since I've actually done any research on it. They said no, they can't see us. Well then,
oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck is this? I don't see the chat.
Well, then you guys aren't as supernatural as Talk Supernatural.
Well, that's why they're Talk Supernatural.
They talk about it?
That's it.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So once we get further down the line, closer to the end of the show, we actually have a announcement for you guys as well. We got a new project in the works, and we're looking forward to announcing that to you guys. We've also got Lost Reality Radio listening in today.
Hello, Lost Reality.
So, love all the guys that listen to our show. We've been following a lot of people. Ow! That listen to the show. So wherever you are in the world, if you have a podcast, if you don't have a podcast, we love all of our
No more Pepsi for you. You're done.
We love all of our listeners, whether you're listening on iHeartRadio, YouTube, any of the podcasting sites or apps, as well as, of course, Spreaker. So, yeah.
It's been a long time since we've done a live show, so we're just kind of like, we're not doing as well as our buddies,
Talk Supernatural.
Yeah, no, not so much. But you know what? It's okay. The Kraken, as we've said, it's come up in lore numerous times, but it's actually shown up a lot recently as well, especially in mainstream media and some books here and there. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
Probably one of the most popular in which the Kraken does show up. Release the Kraken! It's not how they talk, but if they did, it'd be a much better movie. But the movie's great, don't get me wrong. Johnny Depp, you're hot. What? No. Don't judge, guys. Don't judge.
They can barely hear us. So we're going to do this. And we're going to do this.
Boom.
Can you hear us now? So, if you guys are listening live, I will swap out audio later on with using the recorded audio that we usually use when we're doing our shows. So, if you're listening live, just keep letting us know. We would love to make sure you guys can hear us okay. So, one thing that I wanted to address, since we're talking about the Kraken, and yes, they can hear us now. So, one thing we wanted to address was a question that Jim McKinney had asked, and this is actually about dragons, but he had asked this question in a way that it can kind of apply to what we're talking about today. He had asked, can they be considered serpents, dragons, I'm saying? If so, when it's mentioned the devil is a serpent, is that related? Also, can Loch Ness Monster be considered either? So, in a sense, it can kind of tie into what we're doing here today because the Kraken lives in the water as well. Could the Kraken be a dragon? I don't think so. But to address those questions, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So obviously, Jim, you know what you're talking about, man, when you ask questions like these. The Bible does mention Satan as a serpent. But he is considered both a serpent and a dragon. And I think whenever it talks about him being a serpent, it's referring to when he was a snake in the garden, when Adam and Eve, when he deceived Adam and Eve and, had all mankind fall. But he is the dragon too. You see that in the book of Revelation especially, where Satan is often referred to as a dragon. Back and forth, serpent, dragon, serpent, they're interchangeable. There's plenty of even creatures nowadays that look like snakes but are considered dragons of sort.
They're called dragons.
They're called dragons. So, again, it's interchangeable. The word serpent itself, though, typically refers to a snake as opposed to a dragon. But, regardless.
Right. Even though there are dragons that have no wings, they're crawling on the ground, sort of, and they're called worms. But are they serpents? Sort of, I guess.
Well, for a little while until they drown. That's valid. That's valid. Huh.
Okay.
What was the other question? Yeah, so was the
Could the Loch Ness Monster
could
be
Loch Ness
considered
Monster
to
be
be
considered?
either?
Yeah, man. Definitely could be. The one thing that's very common when it comes to the description of the Loch Ness Monster, though, is it's basically how much it looks like a plesiosaur, which makes it a dinosaur as opposed to a dragon. However, as you know, by looking through historical documentation and then you look at the mythological descriptions of dragons, dinosaurs and dragons are pretty close to the same thing. Even in the book of Job, God talks to Job about basically a giant sea monster.
Yeah.
A dragon, if you will, or there's smoke coming out of its nostrils and fire and, skin like armor and so on and so forth. So there's a good chance, I suppose, that you can consider the Loch Ness Monster a dragon, especially, there's only one real good picture, and it's not even that good of a picture.
Of Loch Ness.
Of Loch Ness, yeah. There's been plenty of fakes out there. And depending on what you're looking at, because there's the Loch Ness Monster, then we got the Monster of Lake Champlain, or Champ. Then you have the so-called Lake Erie Monster, which is Bessie.
You have Ogopogo, which is more of a serpent type creature. So in a sense, that one could possibly maybe be a worm or dragon type creature compared to the others.
But the thing is, like, the descriptions are often changing. The Lake Erie Monster, for example, doesn't, as far as I can tell, doesn't have the image of a plesiosaur like Nessie does. Instead, it has more of the serpent-like dragon that you would see in Japanese lore.
Right, and Ogopogo is the same.
It's the same thing. So, it does change from one culture to the next. So, could they all be related in some way? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the dinosaur and the dragon are the same thing. It's just, I guess in the times, medieval times.
Right. They were finding these dinosaur bones, and the only way to explain it is something that's still living. So,
I mean, think of the pterodon or the pterodactyl. That's kind of a dragon in a way.
Right.
Yeah, it's a giant bird, but at the same time, it looks like some of our Americanized versions of the dragon, in which it stood on two legs and has the wings and so on and so forth. Not so much like a Japanese or even the dragons of like Ireland are a little.
They're more of the winged ones. It really boils down to what you believe dragons are. Do you believe dragons are dinosaurs? Do you believe that dragons are a separate entity? Do you believe dragons are more of a spiritual creature that would apply to the Bible, which Eric said? It is even mentioned that Satan is a dragon. It's the great dragon? Do they call him the great dragon in the Bible? That's really what it boils down to. If it's anything, I would say that Loch Ness Monster and dragon, at least the lore that we know of today, completely two separate things. Now, again, if you guys think differently, let us know. Anybody in chat, Talk Supernatural, Lost Reality Radio, chime in on this if you guys have a second to let us know what you guys think or believe as far as what dragons are, or even Loch Ness Monster.
Well, I think it's interesting, though, to say, and you guys say whatever you want, but the fact that God does mention dragons numerous times, and of course he's always referring to Satan as being a dragon, but the fact that he refers to a dragon at all kind of gives us a basis that dragons at some point did live, because what would people, what would a dragon look like? What did John see in his vision when he saw the dragon in the book of Revelation?
Wait, John Cena?
No, not John. John Cena! Oh, gosh. How did you pick up on that?
Because you said John Cena and it just sounded like it came out saying it. John Cena!
Well, the vision that John saw.
There you go.
When he was envisioning everything that he wrote in the book of Revelation. I mean, what is a dragon? And it's what he saw. And maybe it's just an image that God gave it. Maybe it's the very first time a dragon ever appeared in a vision, But again, the book of Job goes way before Revelation. and God is very clearly speaking of a dragon. Now, whether or not that's a literal physical animal that he had created, or just a representation of Satan, which many, scholars believe it might have been, a representation of Satan, how he was, one of the most powerful beings that God had ever created. That's fully up to interpretation, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it as both, I guess. I can see a similarity, for sure. But I'd like to believe that dragons are kind of real.
Well, if any of you guys know me, you know that I'm obsessed with dragons.
Sorry.
Could you control yourself?
No,
Could you control yourself?
I'm trying.
I know you're looking at yourself in the camera and you look all pretty. But,
I didn't say that.
I did.
I know.
I sure did. Okay, so we've got a question from Talk Supernatural, not to cut us off from the dragons thing. But anyways, really quick, I'm obsessed with dragons. I want to believe that dragons are real. So, how does this all apply to the Kraken? One thing that Eric just brought up was the fact that there is a creature that's kind of like a dragon, but it's also a sea monster in the Bible called...
I missed everything you just said, buddy.
What's the sea serpent that is talked about in the Bible that we did a show on?
The Leviathan.
Yeah,
Jeez.
there you go.
Sorry, I was reading... I can't do this. I can't read the chat and talk at the same time. So I'm just like...
Dude, we've been doing this for 8, almost going to be going on 9 years here shortly.
I never look at the show. I listen to the show as the chat goes. The chat's never live anymore.
Right, I know.
I'm confused.
But we used to do it live, and we used to have a chat room.
That was 8 years ago. I'm rusty.
Actually, that was 2 years ago, because we had to chat, and we were live for a while.
Have you been in this brain?
No.
It might have been in that good. See? I can't even talk and you expect me to remember 2 years ago?
Anyways, we've got a question from, I'm assuming this is Heidi from Talk Supernatural. They would like to know how it feels broadcasting live again and together. Mm-hmm. How long since we have broadcast together in person. Mm-hmm. Yay, we don't think the serpent was a dragon, but that there were dragons similar to dinosaurs, not John Cena.
So, first parter. You want to take it or shall I?
Well, it's been a year and a half-ish
I guess that works.
Since we've been doing, switched to the system that we do now, where we just pre-record the shows instead of doing live shows.
But it's been, it's only been about a year and a half as well since we were live together, because that was back in Cleveland then. Was it 2015? New Year's.
Oh, yeah, we did.
14, 15.
In person, yeah, it was.
So that was the last one that we did together.
How does it feel?
Sucks.
It's cool to be in studio together. Doing it live, me personally, I've started to enjoy doing the show the way that we do it now, because we can adjust audio much better than doing the live shows. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, with all of the different software that's out there, it's never the greatest, even when you're trying to have a guest on.
Decent answer. Could have been better.
Would you disagree?
No.
Would you like to add anything?
No. I'm good.
Then just watch yourself.
Stop doing that.
So, I think that there's pros and cons to any way that you broadcast. If you do pre-recorded shows, that's awesome. If you do live shows, that's awesome too, especially if you've learned how to adjust to the different softwares, because a lot of these softwares can augment people's voices where it's very hard to understand them.
Right.
And props to you guys, Talk Supernatural, for doing live shows. It's something that I'm sure you guys struggle with, because it's very hard to come up with great topics. I mean, I know you guys are in studio together, But
we don't want to build your pride, so we should probably tell you that we used to be better than you at doing live video or live radio, and we just got rusty. That's all. That's why it sounds the way it is right now.
Well, Heidi's been listening since we got on to Spreaker, and she knows the problems we've had.
Yeah, some of those are mental.
Most of those are
mental problems. Release the Kraken.
Well, just to let you guys know too, there is no breaks today. We had been super busy, and really doing live ones kind of blows monkey chunks. So
that was a terrible use of visual language. Why do you keep talking about vomit around me, man?
Because I want to see it come out of your mouth.
Ew. Ew.
And it's always fun to remind you of what happened several years ago.
Let's not talk about that. Live radio.
Now, was that before the show? Night Stalkers?
Yes.
So it kind of shaped what Night Stalkers became.
Not really.
Garbage.
Well, just...
So, the Kraken, I'm not really sure where to go with this, because it basically is very cut and dry. I mean, the lore has changed over the years, but it today is believed to be a giant squid-like creature. Now, where was it? You said you saw this picture on Facebook.
Yeah.
Did it give a source other than satellite photo? Was there any website that it was particularly coming from?
I didn't see a website, and I can't remember the guy's name. I have to look back to see I have it saved on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'd have to check to see what the guy's name is. But it wasn't any official source, I guess, that found it. It wasn't like a news channel or something like that.
Okay.
But there was a guy who happened to be looking, I believe, at Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happened, which is weird, like how random to just come across this thing in the water in Antarctica, of all places. Like, what, you're looking for penguins? What the heck are you doing? So, they found something and decided to post it, just get everyone's reaction. And based on the picture, it is fuzzy. Again, it's a satellite, so you're not going to get the most clear picture. But it reminds me of like a giant squid or something, just the basic shape of it in the water. But
now, how big were they saying this in this particular picture? Did it say how big this creature was supposed to be?
No, they weren't saying how big it was supposed to be. Just the fact that compared to other photos of squids that have been taken, it would be uncomparable.
Be larger.
It'd be much larger. So, and you could tell that there's a lot of white water behind it, so it's like moving.
Oh, okay.
At a pretty decent speed. But still, like, if a giant squid does exist, and we know that giant squids do exist, but it's rare that they surface. They usually stay real deep, real low in the depths of the ocean.
And nobody really knows how big they truly get.
Right.
But the Kraken is supposed to be the exponential larger size than what we know they get.
Right. And like unlike, whales and stuff like that, which are obviously the biggest animals in the sea, they need air to usually need oxygen to breathe, so they stay close to the surface. But some of the bigger animals, like the megalodon, who many scientists believe I personally still believe they exist, considering the amount of evidence washing up on shore.
We've never found
lost teeth.
Just like, for example, Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or any cryptid that you can think of. We've never found a skeleton, any type of remains whatsoever. So.
Well, there is for like the megalodon.
Well, they found the jaws
and stuff like that,
but not very many compared to what supposedly that were swimming around at the time.
Well, no, but then again, you got to remember that the majority of fish in the sea, depending on the fish, are cartilage, so there may not be much left anyway. Where the jaw itself is bone. I think whales are one of the few species that do have actual bone, but the creatures like the megalodon, and the Kraken, even though they're so big, they can withstand much greater pressure at the depths. Where whales, they can too, but they can't go too deep because they lose oxygen and drown. But these other creatures that don't need oxygen, or at least don't have to surface for oxygen, I should say, they can go pretty deep, and we don't really have equipment to go as deep as the oceans go. We've never been to the very bottom. I think the furthest we've been is 4 miles, I think. 3 or 4 miles, I think, is the deepest that man has gone. Which is pretty deep. We still haven't gotten far into the bottom yet.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I saw this little video put together of, like, they were comparing different land structures as to how deep the sea actually goes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, but the Eiffel Tower even goes much further down than what we've actually been able to research and actually get down to see, because any type of submarine or anything like that we have been able to build will get crushed at the... What's the trench that's at the bottom of the ocean?
Which one?
There's like a huge... Or there's a very deep trench that's basically the bottom of the ocean. I can't remember the name of it. But we can't get anywhere close because we get crushed.
Like little ants under our feet, only by water.
And, well, look at this. There's something about... Supposedly, the Kraken has a connection to the novel Moby Dick, just because of something that Ishmael says. There seems some ground to imagine that the great Kraken of Bishop Pontoppidan, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Pontoppidan, may ultimately resolve itself into squid. So in other words, he's basically saying he thinks that this Kraken is nothing more than a squid.
I mean, it could be. You got to remember, well, for one, there's a very good chance that a lot of the people on the sea, when they see this squid, were drinking. And so naturally, the stories are going to just be really far out there. But then again, you're on the ocean, all right? The waves are much higher than what you would think. You're getting upwards of 20 feet, often. And then a lot of these sightings could be happening at night. A lot of these sightings happen, mind you, there haven't been many sightings in modern time. They've all been back in, I don't know, what would you call it? Think of it like I guess like 17, 16.
When pirates...
When you think of like Caribbean type pirates,
it would
not modern, but
1700s, early 1800s areas.
So, but you got to figure that there weren't many lights on the ships back then, so you weren't able to see. All you had was the stars and the moonlight to help you discern what was happening in the ocean.
Yeah.
And so you see a breach of water, which could have very easily just been a whale, but the issue is that people were claiming that these boats, these ships that they were sailing, would be taken down by the Kraken.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if that's true. For all we know, there's storms happening, and I don't know. The mind starts working, and
well, as we've said numerous times, it's kind of like the game Telephone. If somebody did see a giant squid and made up, but they called it the Kraken. They came up with all this different lore, said that they saw this creature take down a boat, which may or may not have happened. Maybe a boat had subsided or capsized or whatever, and then in the same vicinity they saw this sinking boat, and then they saw the giant squid right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't... My best guess is it comes more so from the lore of like Norwegian pirates or any type of pirates from the Caribbean.
How far back does this go? As far back as the story of the story of Moby Dick? Like further,
yeah,
much further.
I mean, the original Kraken, like I said, goes back to Greek lore.
Oh, okay.
Moby Dick was in 1851. So from the squid type lore, let's see how far back that goes. Since the late 18th century, the Kraken has been depicted in a number of ways, primarily as a large octopus-like creature, and it has often been alleged that Pontoppidan's Kraken might have been based on sailors' observations of the giant squid. The Kraken also depicted to have spikes on its suckers, which actually there are squids that do. In the earliest descriptions, however, the creature were more crab-like than octopus-like, and generally possessed traits that are associated with large whales rather than the giant squid.
Well, again, that should just all be modernization,
Right.
or over the years, though.
So, again, to you guys in chat listening live right now, Talk Supernatural, Lost Reality Radio, what are your thoughts on the Kraken? Do you guys think it's a giant squid? Do you think it's something else? And something that you and I have talked about, about the Bigfoot, that we think maybe it's more of a spiritual type creature, or something that can jump through dimensions, if you will,
right,
so to speak. What do you think about that as far as sea creatures, like any cryptid in general?
Right, any cryptid in general. Again, it depends on the cryptid. I think as for sea creatures, it's a little more difficult to discern, because the ocean is one of the least, explored areas of the entire Earth. So, there's so many hundreds and thousands of miles.
It's said that we've only discovered 10% of the ocean,
something like that. Very, 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 very small percentage. So who the heck knows what lives in the oceans? And we know for a fact that to this day, creatures that supposedly were extinct aren't. They're finding them off the coast of some of these continents. But they're also discovering creatures that they never knew even existed.
Right.
So, there's a very strong possibility that the spiritual thing here, I would say for me personally, the spiritual thing here doesn't work. It doesn't apply, when it comes to the ocean creatures. And if it did, the only thing I could think of is that it'd be like a spiritual effect on the person who's noted or who's witnessing this creature. Depending on their mental state, depending on whether or not they're drinking, depending on whether or not there's some kind of demonic influence or whatever, maybe they're seeing something that isn't really there. But that's all up to
interpretation.
Really, it is. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. I mean, without there being more than one witness, you really don't know. You don't know if the story is true or not. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a strong case. I don't know if a strong case, but I think there's a strong possibility that the Kraken, as lore tells us about it, is a real creature.
Is it something more than just the giant squid? Maybe not. I like we were saying about Megalodon. Maybe there was a giant squid. I honestly don't know a whole lot about giant squid history, but I mean, back when Megalodon was around, there was a lot of things that were much larger than what they are today. So could it be that something ancient kind of survived? I think that's a pretty good possibility.
Right.
So, trying to think what else we can touch on here about the Kraken. If you guys have seen the picture that Eric has been talking about, let us know too, because I personally did not see it. Did you share it on Facebook?
Yes,
or?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to see it when he had shared it. So if you guys have seen it, let us know what you think. Is it fake? Is it real? Do you think that it could be the Kraken or just the giant squid that we know does exist, but it's very rare to find one?
And again, I'll share that at the end of the show here, but we'll also share it on the video. We'll put it on there once we get that uploaded. We tried to do a live video tonight. Unfortunately, we can't, or couldn't, I should say. So, but we'll get stuff coming to you. So keep a lookout. I know you guys all follow us, so you'll find it tonight. I promise. And you can give us your feedback then.
anything more you can think of on the Kraken?
On the Kraken. Well, it'd make a heck of a good calamari, probably, if we found it. We need a whole lot of cocktail sauce. That's for sure.
Didn't we say that about... What did we say that about something else? I think it was... Oh, when we were talking about the Thunderbird with Kay.
Oh, yeah, big chicken wings.
Yeah.
There you go. It would become legendary food, is what that would become.
It's funny that you always think
about
of
food
cryptids
when
with
the
your
cryptids-
stomach. So, I don't know where else we can kind of go with it, but the Kraken guys, let us know what you think. I honestly believe that it could. I honestly think it could be a real creature that's out there. Could it be just the giant squid? I think that's a good possibility as well, because we've never found what the true size that these squids can get, the giant squids can get to. So who's to say that they can't get to a size that supposedly this picture is showing?
Right.
So do you want to announce what the new project is?
Is it time for that? In 20 minutes or so?
If we have nothing more to say on the Kraken.
I've got nothing more to say about the Kraken, I don't think. But it does lead us into this next little segment here. So for those of you who have been following some of the recent videos that were posted up by me recently over the last couple of days, you may have heard once or twice that Justin and I were and are working on a new project that is kind of a spin-off of Paratruth Radio, but is its own separate entity. And it's strictly video format, so it's going straight to YouTube, possibly Vimeo, a couple other places we don't know, we'll see. But it's not radio-based.
Right.
All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing, it's a possible.
Going back to our Sicilian roots, eh?
Oh, goodness. Anyway.
Straight face.
So, video feed. YouTube. It's a little something that we are deeming, and this came from Justin's wife, actually. She brought it up as her brilliant idea, and we ran with it. Called Paramixology. That'll make a lot more sense when you see one of the videos. So what is paramixology? Well, we know there's this big debate, this big argument amongst Christian people, believers, followers of the Lord, about whether or not it's okay for a Christian to drink alcohol. Well, Justin and I both stand on the side that it is okay, and we both do so. Yeah. So, paramixology
falls in that same line too, that those same people don't believe that you should get tattoos, get piercings, that sort of thing.
They're very Old Testament is what they are. But
they're much more liberal than my good friend here.
Wow. Anyway, so paramixology, basically what we're doing is we're making up our own drinks. Now, they can come in pretty much any form, any shape, any size. We got martinis, we've got whiskey shots, vodka shots. What else we got?
Shots of shots.
A lot of shots, I think. A couple different mixers. Probably beer style drinks. When we start a lot, these are all mixed things, folks, by the way. But basically, what we're doing is we're creating our own alcoholic beverages, and we're teaching you all how to make them. But they all have paranormal themes. Every single one has a paranormal theme. So just a little, I guess hint or taste, I guess we'll say, of what's to come on these. We've done 2 videos already, and I think we're going to release those today or tomorrow, maybe.
Now, did you want us to be releasing them on the Paratruth site?
We can release those 2 on the Paratruth site, and then we're actually going to lead it into its own separate channel away from Paratruth Radio. So in order to get to those, you'd have to type in paramixology, most likely,
or what we're deeming Paratropolis Pictures.
Paratropolis Pictures, that's right. That's the other thing. So more information on that later. But they're very flavorful drinks. So far, we've got some pretty good fruit-flavored drinks, which are pretty good. You want to name a couple of them?
Right now, we've got the Ectoplasm,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you're a ghost hunting fan, you know what Ectoplasm is. Or if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you know what Ectoplasm is. And the other one was the Vamp. Two separate types of drinks. One was a martini style, or if you wanted to drink it in like a tumbler, where the Vamp was a shot that we came up with.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a few others coming up. And give you a little more. We got one called the Squatch that we're working on. There's going to be a new video that we're actually creating within the next few days here, sometime.
Before my good friend goes home.
Mm-hmm. Also, we have I think we decided to call it the Lycanthrope. Or the Lycan.
The Lycan.
One of the two. But we just want to do something a little different, something a little fun. They're very short videos, quick.
That's the other part. They're much shorter than the show.
Yeah. So, they're just quick little intro. We give you everything, tell you what ingredients you need, what parts to mix them, and then, of course, show you the final product, drink it ourselves, and let you know what we think. Because, believe it or not, each one that we make, now if it makes it to video or to the internet, that means I swear we haven't made that many. No, I swear. That means they were successful drinks.
Tasting the product a little too early.
That means they were successful drinks, because as we drink them, it's the first time we're tasting them. We're just, having fun. But you guys can definitely be checking those out. So that's coming up soon.
Now, did you want to announce how they're going to be able to see the other videos?
Yes. So, this is what we're thinking. Basically, the first 2 or 3 videos, I think the first 3 total is going to be the intro video, then the Ectoplasm, and the Vamp.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like those videos and, you're intrigued, you want to try those drinks, then you'll be able to follow us for more drinks. Sorry, my cousin here is always doing everything he can to distract me from talking, because he knows I can't talk and read at the same freaking time. Jeez, Justin.
Now, we have a question here. I'll let you answer.
Hold on. Well, just hold on. I'll answer that in a moment. I'm not done talking yet. Okay, you interrupted me.
You talk an awful lot.
So the point is, what I was trying to get to is, if you like the drinks, you like the style of the videos, they're real short, anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, then you'll be able to get more videos, but at a cost. All right, so this is something we are actually going to be charging for, but it's only I think we're only thinking $2 or $3 a month.
Yeah.
$2 or $3 a month, and you're going to get a drink at least once a week, like a new recipe once a week. So it's not bad. It's actually really, pretty good price. We're even, obviously you can go online and get stuff for free. I know that, but you can't get these because these are special, and they're one of a kind. So, if you're interested, let us know, and we'll have all that information up later on in the week. Now we can go ahead and move on to the question.
Well, I'll let you answer.
All right. Well, let's be silent for a moment, because I can't read and listen either at the same time. Do wasted people listening to PTR, are you wasted? Because that doesn't make any sense right there. We've got a dog barking in the background, guys.
Bugsy.
Do wasted people listen to PTR? You know what? They should. I mean,
the end of that particular chat is, oh no, LOL. So, just from that chat, I'm going to say, yes, wasted people listen to PTR.
Yep.
Muggsy, come here.
Come here, buddy. Hi, buddy. You guys want to see a buddy of ours? Can he be picked up?
Sure.
Will he be upset?
No, he'll be fine.
Come here, buddy. Oh my gosh, he's heavy. This is Muggsy. I know those of you listening right now can't see him. You can probably hear him.
Yeah.
When you see the video, you see his little pug. He can't breathe worth a crud.
So wasted people. Haha, we love you. Heidi, the way you type, I'm starting to wonder if you've not tapped some of our drinks that we've come up with, somehow getting a hold of them before we've released them. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be something fun and exciting. Yes, we're going to start doing a subscription style to these particular videos, but it's something that we've worked hard on getting. It's something extra other than Paratruth Radio, and these videos will be available when you do subscribe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are already wasted people listening, but this will just give them another reason to be wasted, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose it's probably not a good idea overall on our part if there are wasted people listening and we're, supplying them more recipes. But
at the end of each video, we do say, please drink responsibly, and that's where some of the separation comes in to the Christians that don't believe you should drink compared to those that do. We're not saying go get completely plastered with these drinks. All we're saying is enjoy a drink and enjoy these drinks if you want to have a drink, not 50 or so.
Or so.
So, yeah, Paramixology coming up soon. If you guys are a fan of Paratruth Radio, on Spreaker or iTunes, then you'll have to get on YouTube to see these and hear these drinks, because it will not be a paid subscription for audio. It will be just the video.
Yeah. Oh, man. What a day. What a day, folks. Let me tell you, what a day.
What a weekend.
What a weekend. What a week.
What a life.
Yeah. So I don't know how everyone else is feeling out there. We're feeling all right. We're tired. We're super tired. If you didn't notice, just by the way we're talking and dragging things on here and there, we don't know what we're saying sometimes. But
Heidi said, please go easy on her. She's using all of her data just to listen to her favorite podcast.
Aww. We appreciate that, Heidi. We really appreciate that. I waste all my data by listening to my music and doing
apparently
stuff.
You talk Supernatural while you're traveling.
Well, yeah, I do that a lot. Actually,
that was 2 episodes ago, I think, that you said that.
Okay, so my dad is still on my parents, so I'm 30 years old, but I still got to ask my mom if it's okay that I use the data as I'm driving cross country. So, but luckily, yes, she knows how much I love listening to Talk Supernatural. And
all right, so folks, the Kraken. Again, it was something just kind of fun, and Eric had come across this picture on Facebook, so we had decided to kind of go into the lore of it, and even though the Kraken is mostly in folklore, I mean, what's to say that any of the creatures that are talked about in lore and legend are not somehow type of cryptids? Because if you talk about a cryptid today, they have the very similar qualities of folklore, if you will.
That's true.
So, anything more on the Kraken that you can think of?
No.
To finish up?
Not on the Kraken, no.
Well, we did come across a liquor called Kraken that might possibly end up in one of our Paramixology drinks. Eric has apparently tried it, and he one little drink and he was done for. So yeah, the Kraken. If you guys believe in sea monsters, and as we said in the Bible, there is mention of sea monsters and of dragons and of the serpent. Could the Kraken be linked to any of those? It's a possibility. But is it highly likely? No, because the folklore that we know of for the Kraken, it doesn't breathe fire. It's got some poison. Supposedly it's got huge claws that come out of the sucker. I don't even know. I guess suckers.
Suction cups.
Suction cups. Suckers.
I don't know.
And that's it. I mean, it doesn't breathe fire. It doesn't have wings. Anything like that. It's not serpent-like at all. It's either crab-like or squid-like. So, and paramixology coming up. Anything new for you to announce for the revealed yet, or?
Well, Justin finally saw it.
Yeah.
Officially. We got a DVD here in North Dakota that I watched yet. And they're probably wondering, like, okay.
You see the shock look on my face.
They don't see it.
If they're watching YouTube, they are.
They're not watching YouTube right now.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
It was an amazing video, or movie. Unfortunately, I didn't have a sound system that I didn't get the full effect that Eric was going for, but we did get one for the wedding, so I do plan on rewatching it before he leaves so that we can get the full effect of it.
It's amazing what sound does to a film. Like, you don't have the right equipment. Like in this case, there was no bass. He didn't have a bass speaker. So therefore, a lot of the sound effects that I used in the film, certain parts of the music cues and whatnot, didn't rumble through the house like they were supposed to. And so it kind of lost its effect in, I guess, the jump scare factor.
Right.
That's where a lot of the jump scare comes from the sounds. So I don't plan on it scaring him now because he already knows what to expect. But,
who knows if it's a big enough boom? Might scare the crap out of me.
So
you know how jump I am in the dark.
We're gonna be able to play that back and see how it all turns out.
Heidi, I did see your question. We'll get to it in just a second, but we're going to finish up with this. But even my wife, Shelly, said she liked it, but she wanted more. And that's what I said, too. I wanted more. And I gave him my take on what the ending meant to me, and Eric told me that I'm the only one that had told him what I had told him. I won't say it because it'll away. Yeah.
But the good thing is that it left her wanting more of the film. You know, that's exactly what, as a filmmaker, you want to do. You want to let the audience leave wanting more of the film. To an extent. I mean, there's certain films where you really need to, you need to have an ending. You need to close it. So that when people walk out, they're satisfied with the film, they're good to go.
Right.
But if you plan on having a sequel, or you want someone to pick up, like in this case, it's a short film. So if I want a company to come to me and say, hey, I love this short film, I'd like to give you the money and produce a feature-length film, let's write it and get going, then that's exactly what I needed. Something where people will be like, I want more, I want to see what happens next. So...
And it was originally supposed to be a full length.
It was originally supposed to be a full length, and I ended up having to cut it short. Or not having to, but I chose to cut it short because I thought it would be a good way to get the basic idea of the film across. I was having a hard time writing a feature on it.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, now that I wrote this short and I'm getting people's input and reaction to it and stuff like that, there's more to go off of. There's more that I see now that it's been 2 years working on a short film. I can see so much more to the story now too. So we'll see what happens in the coming years. I'm here in North Dakota for the next week, and then on Sunday, not today, but next Sunday, I'm going to upload the film to the Cleveland Film Festival. So that'll be the very first film festival that The Revealed will be uploaded to. We'll see if I'm accepted. If so, everyone will know ASAP, I'm sure.
When does that
the festival? The actual festival isn't until March of 2017. But it's one of the largest film festivals in the country, so they're accepting real early. They started 3 months ago. And then there's a bunch of other film festivals that I'm going to be putting it into as well. I just have to choose which ones. It's touchy. There's some film festivals you can put it in and it won't do any good at all, and there's other ones that you put it in and it does great. And you can figure it out before actually putting it in there, because depending on what the film festival is dedicated to, like there's some that are dedicated mostly to dramas,
Right.
And so a horror film won't do very good,
right.
even though it's technically a drama of sort.
Right.
It just wouldn't do very good. So you really have to link your film to all these different festivals, and there's actually a good website where you can upload your film, and it'll basically look through all the film festivals for you around the country, and then tell you where your film would probably do best, and then you submit to those film festivals. So it's kind of a good thing. It makes it a little easier. But yeah, that's it for the reveal. So
no, well, that's not it yet. I mean, it's going into the festival.
Well, that's it for now. That's all I got to say for it.
So one question that we got from Heidi here. She says, I don't believe in different dimensions, but many cryptid lovers do. Do you guys think this is a Kraken thing from times of old? I think what she's trying to say is the Kraken just from, for example, like Old Testament, New Testament kind of thing. Not that's what she's saying, but in days of old kind of makes me think of Old Testament compared to New Testament kind of a deal.
I mean, I'm kind of like along the same line as you are, and Heidi, correct either of us if we're wrong. But the way I'm seeing it is like almost, because the way I do it is pre-flood, post-flood.
Oh,
times
right.
of old being pre-flood, and then everything after that. Of course, there's also like the times of old before Jesus, and then the new stuff after. But or the new age, I guess. But I think there's a good chance that the Kraken was way back from when the beginning of time. When dinosaurs, everything were created. Mind you, like there is evidence that everything back when the world was first born, if you will, was much larger. The oxygen was much richer here on Earth, and so everything happened to grow much larger. Hence, dinosaurs being able to get as big as they were, plants being as large as they were, bugs and all these other things getting as big as they are. And of course, over time, it all kind of disappeared. The flood, I think. I mean, you think of the Nephilim, right? Now, of course, this is way off topic a bit here, but the Nephilim they're creatures of old, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And if something like the Nephilim, who are giants, or supposedly were giants, existed, then why not a Kraken? That is gigantic squid. Of course, we have evidence that there was such thing as a megalodon, and that is a gigantic 30-plus foot white Jurassic.
White shark.
Why am I going to say Jurassic white shark? I mean, it was technically, but a white shark, a giant white shark. And so, I think there is a good chance here. After the flood, and this could be something, maybe when the flood of Noah happened, there was so much water happening that it started moving land, and when the land was moving, that the Kraken got stuck in a particular place, deep down in the trenches where there's enough food for it to eat.
Right.
But, just kind of hiding out there. And maybe it breached recently, and people are starting to have these sightings. I don't know. But definitely a possibility, Heidi. I would think so.
Well, look at, for example, the Mongolian death worm that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Could have been a reminiscent of ancient times as well. Could all of these things survived somehow? I think they could have. Eric and I both believe that people and dinosaurs, or certain dinosaurs, at one point lived together, and there is more and more evidence pointing towards that direction. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that the world is not as old as we think it is, or creationist compared to what's the other side? I guess science. Yeah. There's this huge debate about that, but really what it boils down to is truly it doesn't matter. We're seeing evidence now that people and dinosaurs live together, which is huge. So could these things have still survived to this day? I absolutely believe so. I hope that answered your question, Heidi. If you have any others before we head out here, let me know. So next week, folks, Eric is going back to Ohio, and we're going to be in South Dakota Tuesday, which is usually when we record. So I'm just going to have another episode of one of our guest appearances, and
go ahead.
So just stay tuned for that. I'm not sure which one yet, but it will be an awesome one regardless of what we decide here.
Sorry. Heidi she explained a little further as to what she meant. And in that case, in regards to what she was asking, do we believe, much like the Dogman or Bigfoot, that some New Agers believe that they're interdimensional beings, like aliens,
right,
coming and going, could the Kraken also be something similar? I believe is what she's asking. And she believes that, much like dinosaurs, that the Kraken has been around and always been around with humans, and I'd agree with that. I think we touched on based on that a little bit at the beginning of the show. I don't think by any means it's like an interdimensional, being or a spiritual being or anything like that. I think it really is as live as you and I, I think it really is much like any sea creature that lives now, or like the dinosaurs, when they were around. I mean, like you said, there is evidence that dinosaurs were around with humans, or vice versa, I should say. Creationists are constantly finding DNA in dinos, which is interesting because there shouldn't be any left if they're as old as scientists say, secular scientists say they are. But carbon dating is telling us that dinosaurs are only a few thousand years old as opposed to multi-million years old, which just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, I think that these creatures have always lived in the oceans that we currently boat and swim in, and so on and so forth. So, which is really scary.
I mean, the true question, I guess, really boils down to why have they not surfaced?
Well,
just like Megalodon. Now, granted, this is a huge great white shark type creature. Could it live on all of the sea life that's out there? Yeah, it could. But why would it not surface to find bigger game or anything like that?
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, and so we have this theory. We're running over an hour here, folks, but that's what happens with a live show with us. But there's this theory that there is an Earth inside the Earth, right? So let's just say, or
the Hollow Earth theory,
right? The Hollow Earth theory, whatever. Let's just throw it out there and say, okay, maybe that exists. And in which case, wherever these creatures are, the Megalodon or the Kraken, wherever they're living currently, there very well could be other animals that are decent enough size for them to continually live off of. For all we know, there's a whole other section of the ocean where it's just dinosaur-like sea creatures, and that's how they're living. Then again, much like there's certain animals, I can't think of any in particular, maybe is it a crocodile, maybe, where they can live tremendous amounts of time without food whatsoever.
Oh.
And so there's a very good possibility that they go into this hibernation type state, these creatures, and actually slows down their metabolism significantly. Like you think of bears hibernating. They go a long time without eating. That's because they slow down their metabolism, and they're able to control the amount of food that they burn, and therefore they can last much longer without eating. And it's the same thing with these creatures. Why they don't surface, for all we know, they have adapted, or even always have been adapted, to the greater depths, the pressure. And therefore rising would off-put the oxygen levels in their blood and kill them. And they may be able to sense that when they get to a certain level. That's just something that animals know. Well, their sixth sense. So I think that's also a good possibility. Of course, we don't have any full evidence that either of these two creatures are currently existing today, but honestly, I'm not sure if I want to say I hope that one day we'll find out, because that'd be scary for whoever finds them. It may be the last thing they ever see, too.
Yeah.
But, so.
Well, if I'm thinking correctly, there were giant alligator-like creatures, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, where did those ones go? Maybe those ones don't exist anymore because they were both land and sea or swamp type creatures. I mean, it's hard to speculate, but cows are like that too. They have lots of stomachs.
What?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just funny that she went to cows. Yeah, so are these things of from the far distant past? I would say it's a very good possibility that they are. Yeah. So we have run over, guys. So I think
we need to get out of here so that Heidi can stop using her data on our behalf. So,
like I said, next week it's just going to be one of our guest appearances. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. We've got a lot of great things coming for you. Look forward to Paramixology. I enjoy it. Eric enjoys it. I hope that you guys will enjoy it as well. So until next week, where you will find us same time, same channel, even though technically it won't be a brand new episode. She says, no, don't go. Apparently, Heidi's bored.
Should we keep going? We can keep going.
Okay.
You want to keep going?
Sure.
Let's keep going. You know what?
For Heidi.
You know what?
She says, we love you. We love you guys, too.
We love us, too.
Marathon. I don't know if we're going to do a marathon. What was one of the other creatures we wanted to touch on? That you had...
yeah, I'm trying to think. Darn it.
Let's look back. I have my phone.
We got our phone. Here. Let's see. There's some interesting creatures that we looked up. For those of you who didn't tune in at the beginning of the show, which is completely fine, guys, just thank you for tuning in, period.
Yeah.
We were trying to decide on what creature to do, and we ended up deciding on the Kraken, but we were looking through a lot of Japanese and Russian lore of
the
cryptids.
man-eating tree. That was one that was that we came across after you had asked me as well. I think.
Yeah. So the man-eating tree is... Well, that's just creepy, man. That's worse than the Kraken.
Dragons blowing fire. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Heidi.
Not exactly.
So the man-eating tree, where is that originally based from? Do you remember?
I want to say that was a Russian...
Okay, we're doing this on the fly, so let me research really fast here, and Eric will...
And I'll just, hang out and talk to you guys. So, interesting enough, I don't know if you guys saw... Well, you guys didn't see yet, but you will see this pug snoring. I don't know if you can... You guys hear that on the radio, by the way? Because there's a pug laying behind me, and he is snoring up a freaking storm, and it's ridiculous. And, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we here on the show, everything is paranormal, right? We always make sure everything's paranormal. And this pug is no different. Because if you recall, if you've ever seen Men in Black, there's a pug that talks on there. And so, you see, this pug might or might not be an alien.
Alright, here we go. Man-eating tree.
Found in Africa and Central America. The Madagascar tree. Which would make some... I mean, of course. Where else would it be? It would be in the place where everything else that exists there would eat you.
Well, she's asking...
Did
they blow
fire?
Well... Again, that kind of goes along the lines of what do you believe dragons were? Do you think dragons and dinosaurs are the same thing, or do you think there's something completely different?
I mean, but all right. So you look at modern creatures that would not be representations of dragons, but be reptilian,
right.
In a sense. So you think of I can't think of what frog it is. The horned frog, I think, shoots blood out of its eye, which is a really interesting thing for a creature to do, right? and that's something I can't do. It's hard to believe that any creature could. But who's to say that a God, it's God, right? So if God created dragons, he could do anything he wants. And so why not create some kind of, what do you call it, like a gas chamber, like something...
Right, like in the body. Yeah,
within the body that would ignite when two chemicals come together. Right, like say the dragon has two chemicals within itself, they would ignite. And you create fire. You can create fire pretty easily with just two very common, simple chemicals. So there's a very good, strong possibility, I think, that if dragons really did, or I guess that they could have really breathed fire if they did exist.
Well, good. Now that 24 people are listening, I expect 22 more people to start listening every week. Yeah, and actually there was a kind of like a made up video if dragons were real. Mm-hmm. And they kind of went into what their anatomy might look like, and one of the things was they had a gas chamber when they would eat food, that gas chamber would fill from the rotting flesh that was digesting. So they would somehow ignite with another chemical that gas that was building up in the stomach. So, yeah, and it's a good possibility that dragons were real, that they did breathe fire, because, I mean, yes, people's imaginations can run wild, but how would you come up with all of this different lore about it?
Again, I mean, when you're looking at modern animals, and some of these are just, kind of out there, but the skunk, when it sprays, right. It has the gland that creates a pretty nasty smell, y'all know, which is weird in and of itself. The squid, or the octopus, not the squid, but the octopus, can... could ink, so they have a special by the way, guys, this is disgusting. I was watching, what is his name? The guy who travels around the world and eats nasty food. I can't think of his name.
Oh, I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Some of you might know who I'm talking about.
On the Food Network,
yeah,
right?
the Food Network, or the Travel Channel, on the Travel Channel.
Yeah.
But he went someplace and ate an ink sac.
Oh, yuck.
And, oh my God, that's so... Let's change the subject. Change the subject.
So, yeah, I want to believe dragons are real because I'm such a huge fan of dragons. Do they truly exist? I don't know. But I believe they did or still do. Again, where did they go? Where are they? There are people that say that they have sighted dragons. Something that we talked to Linda Godfrey about when we had her on.
Yeah.
And if there is a hollow earth, which I'm not sure why this would even be a thing, because, well, I mean, we believe what scientists are coming across, but who's to say that they're right?
Right. Yeah.
So, yes, I believe that dragons were/are real. I believe that they could probably produce fire because that would just be a chemical reaction. Were dragons dinosaurs? I think it's possible that if dragons are not real, it was just people from medieval times coming across dragon bones and making up a huge story about a creature that they fought. But I believe they truly existed or do exist. What are your thoughts on the whole dragon versus dinosaur theory?
I can see them as being one and the same. There have been numerous periods, supposedly, throughout the Earth's lifespan, I'll say, in which some dinosaurs roamed and then some disappeared, and then new dinosaurs are born, and you just kind of had this these ages, the Jurassic, the Triassic, the Cretaceous, so on and so forth. And so there's a good possibility that the dragons did live at some point during one of those particular eras. And depending on what happened, they might have just, died out. There might have only been a few. They may not have been as big as people claimed them to have been.
Right.
You look at the horned dragon, for example. It's a lizard. You look at the Komodo dragon, for example, which is actually can help with the whole fire breathing thing, because the Komodo dragon actually has what is it called? What am I thinking of, Justin? The saliva.
Oh, yeah,
that's
bacteria.
Bacteria. All the bacteria in the saliva, which is extremely deadly if they were to bite you, lick you, whatever. And so if a creature like that can have a bacteria in their mouth that are simply able to kill a person within a couple of hours and yet survive perfectly on its own. Same thing with snakes. I mean, look at where the teeth of the snake are,
Right.
A single bite and that venom is injected into somebody and you can die within minutes depending on the snake. But what happens if they bit themselves,
Right.
I mean, I don't know
if
it's
a paradox.
It's a paradox. I don't know if anything would happen, but the fact is that God created them with the ability to have this extremely deadly venom within themselves that they can easily inject into somebody, and yet it has no effect on them whatsoever. Which I don't know. I read this thing once where if you were to drink venom, you would survive. If you were to inject poison, you would survive. But if you were to ingest poison, you would die, and if you were to inject venom, you would die. Because venom goes through the bloodstream, where poison would go through the stomach and the digestion system and all that. Now, I don't know how true that is. That's just something I heard.
Don't try this, guys.
Don't try this type of thing. But at the same time, it's like if a rattlesnake kills its prey by using its venom and then swallows the prey, they're swallowing the venom and they survive. It has no effect on the snake whatsoever.
Right.
But, I'm not going to eat this. Oh, I'm not going to eat a rat anyway. But,
So I hope that answers your question, Heidi.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that really long, drawn-out answer, as we Paratruth boys always like to do, to draw things out.
So, the man-eating tree. We'll touch on this kind of briefly here. Basically, it's a tree that ate people. It's also known as the Madagascar tree. It originated in Africa, and it says the earliest well-known report of a man-eating tree originated as a literary fabrication written by Edmund Spenser for the New York World. Spencer's article first appeared in the daily edition of the New York World on April 26, 1874, and appeared again in the weekly edition of the newspaper 2 days later. In the article, a letter was published by a purported German explorer named Karl Lich, also spelled as C-A-R-L compared to K-A-R-L in later accounts, who provided a report of encountering a sacrifice performed by the Makoto tribe of Madagascar. The story was picked up by many other newspapers of the day, including the South Australian Register on October 27th, 1874, where it gained even more notoriety. So it looks like there's a couple other trees here. The Nubian tree, the Yateveo, the vampire vine. So it goes back to several different areas.
It goes back. I mean, think of the Venus flytrap.
Right.
Why not? Why not have a tree that can eat people? I mean, you got a plant that eats animals, bugs, but
and like we were saying with Heidi, could there have been a plant back in the day that would eat people? Like, yeah. I mean, there were adaptations of the Venus flytrap back, and much larger. So,
right. Oh, I got to tell you this one, by the way, because you know how we like making fun of you for being vegan and all. But it's interesting. This is interesting, and this is. I think Justin gets upset after a while sometimes when I keep bugging him about this. It's like this plant eater versus meat eater thing between him and I. But it's funny because Justin, he only eats plants, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's funny is that plants even eat meat. In this case.
In this particular instance, yes.
Yes. I remember when this young lad used to eat burgers like it was nobody's business, and now not even look at him. He just gets... I can't do it anymore. Okay, I'm okay now.
Don't make me touch you inappropriately.
Whoa. This is live radio, man.
And? She said it can be one of your drinks. I'm not sure what part she was talking about.
I don't either.
So Heidi, explain to us which part you were talking about that could be one of the drinks. So yeah, there was this man-eating tree, supposedly. I actually came across one where it was called, I believe, the goat tree.
Okay.
And this tree would grow a goat out of it.
Oh, yeah.
It would be, the goat would stay attached to this tree through an umbilicus, if you will, and it would protect the plant from any outside aggressive source, but it would also eat all the foliage around the plant, and once all that foliage was ate, and the goat had nothing more to eat, it would die. And when the goat would die, the plant would die. Very odd type of cryptid, and I believe that's another one that comes from African lore.
Yeah. And people come up with the darndest things. Let me tell you.
People say the darndest things, just like children. So, yeah, and it's kind of odd because you don't really hear much about plant cryptids.
No, just Seymour. Well, that's not Seymour, but what's his name? The
plant was just. I don't
Didn't he have a name? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought it did have a name.
If it did, I don't remember.
Read me, Seymour.
So, Heidi, you're not responding here. What's going on? I need to know the name of the drink that you were talking about.
I think she wants us to take rotting flesh and mix it with something.
You're talking about the
gases and poisons and serpents, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So just take some rotting flesh, mix it with a little bit of rattlesnake venom, and give it to someone we don't like.
Sick. Whoa. Well, I mean, there are a lot of drinks that are linked to poison. The serpent. So,
we have a gummy worm in it. The serpent.
So, yeah, we're kind of...
We're done. We're gone.
Sorry, Heidi. So, folks, I know, Heidi, you want us to keep going, but I think we've tapped our limit here for this week. So, next week, guest appearance. Week after that, I believe...
Checking the notes. It's his Blues Clues notebook. Or notepad.
Gotta write this down.
Blues Clues.
Nothing confirmed yet for the following week. Something Eric and I have to discuss. But a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys. So until next week, where you will find us, same time, same channel. My name is Justin.
And I'm Eric. Peace!
If you enjoyed this episode of Paratruth Radio, and you would like to listen to it again, or are interested in listening to any of our past episodes, then you can listen to them on HD at our website, paratruthradio.com.
And you can also find us at Stitcher, Blueberry,
TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube.
And of course, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for brand new updates of our show every day.